All right, welcome to another weekend AMA. For those of you who are new to the weekend AMAs, every weekend I answer your questions and talk, and try to provide a little bit of mentoring. Really, at the end of the day, that was one thing I always wish I had when I was learning to code and getting up and going. Was a mentor, and so that's really what these weekend live streams are about. You have some questions, no matter how dumb. As my boss likes to say, there are no dumb questions, just dumb people. No, I'm going to be here to answer your questions. So, do these every Friday or Saturday. To start off, I usually like to start with a topic, and this week's topic is just to bring up a topic of discussion. Is about learning the art of negotiation. This is something I think a lot of people, even who are senior developers, really just undervalue how much this can actually cost them. So, one thing that you can do is sometimes people will take the very first offer because they are afraid that they're going, if they make a counter offer, that they are going to lose the opportunity. But you have to realize, you have to sort of change your mindset a little bit about this. So, a couple of reasons why. One is, not only are you filling a role that they want to hire, they've invested time into you, and when you ask for an extra week of PTO, or you say, you know what, my market value is $10,000 higher. Can we get close to that number? Please get close to that number. I'd love to accept this offer. They want to hire you at the end of the day. They've already extended an offer because they want you. They want you as part of the team. Companies don't hire people they don't want. So consider yourself to be in a position of some power, not absolute power. We're not talking about the Infinity Gauntlet or anything like that, but of some power. And understand that really no one's going to retract an offer when you counter offer, because they do want you on the team. They may say no, and you have to be willing to understand. But and part of this is the best time to have the most confidence when negotiating is when you have other options, right? It's very scary to negotiate a contract when you have no other options, which is one of the reasons you should negotiate while you have another job or you have other offers on the table. It's very easy to say, look, I have another contract. I have an offer here for $25,000 more, and they may jump up to $30,000. You never know. But what you don't ask for, you don't get. I'll give you two personal examples of mine in the workplace. I negotiated $5,000 higher for one salary, for instance. I also negotiated in a way where you can negotiate things. See, in life, almost everything is negotiable. Everything is negotiable. Just sometimes the negotiations don't go your way, right? So, one thing to consider when negotiating is that money isn't everything. You're going to have your base salary. You're also going to have bonuses. You're also going to have PTO. You're going to have paid benefits and everything in between. So, some things that you can negotiate might be PTO. I have negotiated they wouldn't move on the salary. So I asked for more. After asking for that, I said, look, what about PTO? I need something to make up this difference. I want to come work with you guys. Meet me in the middle here. And I got, instead of 2 weeks PTO, I got 3 weeks of PTO. I increased my PTO by 50% just by asking, which is a lot, right? And so you can negotiate things of, hey, can I get a $500 education stipend for the year? So it'll pay for one conference talk. You never know. The point I'm trying to get is get in your head is make this part of your process. Don't ask for unreasonable demands, but ask for in the ballpark sort of things and get that extra oomph. Get that extra. That $5,000 I got from my first dev job is 5,000 more I was able to demand because I had already had that. Someone is already paying me that. And something like 67% of recruiters put out offers expecting you to negotiate. And one more thing I'll say, and this isn't really This isn't really my point. This is a. I was listening to negotiation about on a channel by there's a investor personality radio host, and he's been doing it for like 25 years or something like that, called Dave Ramsey. I'm a recent listener, but he made an excellent point about negotiating. Um, when you negotiate, do it where you feel most comfortable. And what that means is, if you feel really uncomfortable doing it in person, do not negotiate in person. If you excel at it, do it. So I personally feel a little bit uncomfortable doing it in person. So I for the time being would do it over phone or would do it over email, right? So do it in your environment in which you can show strength, essentially. And I think that's really important, because not only do you not want to be weak, and this gets into a little bit of the mental aspect, but if you come off as weak or desperate, of course they're not going to budge, right? But if you make an offer within reason, keep moving forward. If you're self-taught and you're not good at coding, don't negotiate. I'm self-taught. I consider myself to be good, and I do negotiate. And by the way, if you're just, no one's saying negotiate for your very first dev job. I did. I got 5K more. um, but what I am saying is, be willing to put it into your skill set. Be willing to, maybe for your second dev job, where you're already have a job and you're like, look, I've learned everything I can learn at this workplace. It's time to jump ship and, get a little bit of pay raise. Look, you need to be saving for retirement. You need to be taking care of your kids, buy a house, all this sort of stuff. And you need to look out for yourself, number one, right? We all don't work to work. We work to support our lives and enjoy life. And negotiating helps you do that. So keep that in mind as you're looking for roles, accepting roles, and moving forward. It is uncomfortable, to say the least, to negotiate. And now that James Scott is in the channel, I just realized I think we were supposed to have a phone call today. So I apologize very much. I apologize very much, James, for that. It has been a long week. But yeah, so negotiating may be a little bit harder when you're just getting started. But once you're started, it is crucial. Keep that in mind. So one of the reasons I answer recruiters' phone calls, I get emails, calls every day from recruiters. Every single day. Everyone in the industry does. One of the first things I say is, what does it pay? What does it pay? I don't want to waste your time. You don't want to waste my time. There is a whole different variety of like pay ranges for front end development. So what does it pay? Let's just cut to it. 2-3 minutes in, what are we looking to pay for this role? What am I looking to get paid? I ask. So there is, if you go and do a Google search about what the median salary is, I always tell them I want more than market rate. I'm better than market rate. Market rate is for people who are not working as hard as I am. That's really how I look at it. I consider myself a good, decent developer, and market rate takes a whole bunch of things. I'm better than market rate. I go for, and most people, that's enough to end the conversation right there. They don't want to pay above market rate. Cool. I got no problem with that. I got a job. I love my job. It's a great job. If you're trying to steal me away, guess what? You got to pay steal me away prices. This ain't a going at a need a job sale. All right. This is a got a job, need a upgrade sale. You got to pay the upgrade price. So this is the thing, is like, you need to be able to have these skills, just be able to have a conversation. You like TypeScript? Thanks for pushing. I'm glad, man. Did you guys see that free code camp? They sent me a message and say, hey man, we appreciate you. We saw that you're doing these TLDR videos. We like your stuff. Bo sent me an email specifically, who runs the free code camp YouTube channel, and he was like, would you mind if we put him on the free code camp channel? I said, absolutely not. take it down, go ahead, put it up. And so just go ahead and drop your boys' courses in the description with a link to the YouTube channel, please, as a little bit of promotion. But yeah, so if you notice, they are going up on the Free Code Camp channel. A little bit of open source pro bono work for your boy for the most part. So I'm a big Free Code Camp supporter. It is one of the few things that I would ever give away my hard time and money and support for. Free Code Camp has got me to become a developer. One of the major contributions of my life, one of the major contributions the last 3-4 years, and me being able to become a well-paid developer and a developer at all, is because of Free Code Camp. I attribute Free Code Camp to that. Free Code Camp, I would not say it is an exaggeration to say has helped change my life for the better. And I'm glad and happy to support them in any way I can to help promote their platform. So I'm an avid fan, and I hope they continue to grow and do their work. Now, they should just be, I just want to make this point because sometimes people get into this sort of trap with tutorial sites where I meant to do a video about this, where that's all they ever do. They never evolve from that. And that becomes an issue down the road. Where you never Free Code Camp and sites like it, coding tutorial sites, they should only be one part of the equation as you're growing as a developer. They should be, hey, I want to be introduced to something and I need a little bit of hand holding to get there. And even Free Code Camp does a much better job not holding your hand than like Codecademy, for instance. It is all about multiple resources, continuing to grow and continuing to mature as a developer. And that's one of the things that's been really shocking, I'll say. I haven't sat in on too many job interviews. It is something I do from time to time when we're looking to hire developers. And you would be shocked. You would be shocked by the amount of developers who have had 10 or 15, 20 years experience, and you ask them to do something like FizzBuzz on the whiteboard, very basic technical interview question, and what happens is they can't do it. They haven't practiced or not. It's so crazy. Yeah, fintech puts it a good way. I'm in a good spot where I enjoy my job. If a new employer wants me, they got to pay me a min $30K for a raise. They need me more than you need them. You're in a good spot. That's exactly the right mindset to have. Dylan, what's up with all the YouTube dev channels slacking? You're literally the only one that I could take seriously. Who's slacking, man? When do you think the day will come that everyone can go and be a web dev and devs get paid less? So here, this is kind of my whole point, Master of the Mash, is that bad devs already don't get paid well. There are a ton of bad developer jobs where they will never see above $50,000, which may sound a lot to you right now, but it's below the average, and they're never going to make more than that. That's fine. If that's what you're happy with. But bad devs don't. Just because you're a developer doesn't mean you're going to get a 6-figure salary. Just because, let me repeat this one more time. Just because you're a developer doesn't mean you're going to get a high-paying 6-figure salary. The 6-figure salaries are for the best developers. Those are the people who are grinding, working, and continuing to grow. There are plenty of shitty developers to go around. The developer shortage, and let me write this down because I keep on forgetting to make this video. The developer shortage is not that there are not enough developers. There are plenty of developers. The developer shortage is that there are not enough good developers. So in order for you to become a good developer, it takes time, energy, and sometimes tears. So it is a hard process to become a good developer, and it is a process where you need to continue to grind and grow. For an industry where you can be self-taught, there are always going to be those people who are trying to get into that mindsets and are going to try and sneak their way in because they think it's a get rich quick scheme. And so what you have are a lot of bad developers. You have a lot of people who spend 3 months doing free code camp that think they're a developer and that they're ready to go. And can some be? Yes. Some of the absolute world's finest top 1% could probably do it in 3 months, and that's fine. But the 99% cannot. And because of that, it's hard to get to that area. So keep that in mind, is that there's a lot of bullshit out there, as Kevin Lopez puts it. And to bring yourself down to reality, understand that if you want to get paid well, you need to be the best. You need to be a good developer, the best developer. Your goal should not be to be in. It's just like school, right? The people who get the A's, the people who are in the top 10% get paid like they're in the top 10%. The people who are in the top 20% get paid like they're in the top 20%, 30%, 40%. So if you want to get paid like the top 1%, the top 5%, top 10% of developers, you need to be in the top 10% of developers. And there's a lot of different ways to go about that. In my personal way, I'm just hardworking. That's it. I'm fucking every day. I'm doing algorithms. I'm reading books. I'm learning new frameworks. I'm building courses for myself, for Udemy, for Scrimba. I'm participating and giving my content away for free on YouTube. I am growing in every way I know how. Every single day, I'm taking one step forward to being in that top 10%, that top 1%. Am I there? I have no idea. But I can tell you, tomorrow I will be better for just doing this live stream, for the amount of time I spent at work, for the time I'm going to spend on YouTube after this, for the time that I spent this morning at 6:30 a.m. building a Udemy course on solving algorithms. I spent the last 2.5 months doing 150 of them to build this course. So will there ever become a time in which there are too many web developers? That time is here. That time has been here. But it is not. There is nowhere near too many good web developers. There are plenty of bad developers. That time is here. There will always be bad people. I'm gonna grab another beer. All right. Did you have imposter syndrome? I struggled a lot with that. I did at my first job. And even to a degree when I was just at my second role, part of it was, one thing that helped me overcome it was when I had 3 offers on the table. I was like, at the same time, I was like, I think I made it. I was like, I think I'm doing all right if I can get 3 offers on the table. You got a diffuser? Hey, welcome to the diffuser army, baby. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. It takes a lot to be a good dev, though. Here's the thing: is there's plenty of bad devs, and it happens all the time, man. Where you interview people. Yeah, it's definitely good to make sure that the company's the right fit for you. Now, the only caveat to that is if you're just getting started in the industry, I think your work experience is more valuable than you being miserable for 6 months. So that's my personal thing. And I also think as you're getting started, hopefully you can still maintain that demand and that drive to move forward. A lot of people, once they get their first dev role, stop growing. A lot of people just give up. They think they've made it. So if you're one of those people, be careful of taking that first role where you kind of hate it, because the whole point of you taking a role to get that experience 6 months in is so that when you do take it, you are you're going to be in a position where 6 months later you'll do just fine. How do bad devs get the job in the first place? They just take lower paying jobs. That's really it. I mean, there's plenty of dev roles that pay $40,000, something like that. I make basically twice that. So there's a lot of dev roles that take 40 grand, and they'll pay you 40 grand. For, regardless of the experience, and they learn outdated things. They don't stay up to date. That's really it. And so you're forced to take on people that you normally, not every company can afford to pay you $100,000. Keep that in mind. There are plenty of companies that can't pay you, 70 grand, 80 grand, 100 grand, whatever is a lot of money for a dev in your area. So there are plenty of companies that do that. How can an inexperienced dev provide value to an experienced dev at a meetup to make a conversation mutually beneficial? This is the real Ajin. That's a very good question. One of the things that I've said is when you go and you're trying to learn and you're looking for a mentor, don't look for like a mentor in a traditional sense. That doesn't really exist anymore. What you want to do is build relationships. You can talk about things that you're passionate in. So the thing about software developers is they like good software developers, and experienced good dev like software. When I visited, before I was even a developer, and I was visiting my brother, he was with his girlfriend, and the guy who was there was looking to become a developer. That we were on like this like triple date sort of thing with my brother's friend and her boyfriend, and he was looking to become a developer. And we were at dinner, and my brother pulled me aside to the from the table, and he's like, "Look, Megan, his girlfriend, he's like, she needs you to shut the fuck up talking about software. She can't stand it anymore because we're so passionate about it." So when you're passionate about things, even if it's something that a lot of times people aren't interested in, but at a meetup, everyone's gonna be interested in software. It should be. You're gonna want it to. They're gonna enjoy those conversations where, like, "Hey man, have you played around in Blazor? The new C# front end." So that would be where I would start, because the truth of the matter is there isn't too much value that you can get, but a lot of 9 out of 10 devs want other developers to succeed. At least I think so. I've met a couple experienced senior devs who are just complete fucking haters. But it's one of those things where it's a little bit hard, but I would say just more so worry about making relationships rather than trying to gain benefits out of it in the get-go, right? So I mean, there's a reason I provide. So I do these live streams to provide mentoring, right? It's a great way. I mean, there's 40 people in here. We're talking about things. I'm answering questions that probably not only you want answered, but other people, they can go and watch this later. But I also provide one-on-one mentoring. You can actually hire me for an hour to sit down and answer your questions one-on-one. That costs money because my time, like yours, is valuable, right? So when you go into a meetup, most devs aren't looking to give you an hour of their time. But they're happy to say, "Hey, let's sit down for 10, maybe even 15 minutes, and let me answer these questions." The one caveat I would have to all this is that don't ask questions that can be Googled. If you can Google the answer, don't answer it. You're just going to annoy people at that point, because it means that you don't really care enough to go and look it up. If you were to ask, something like, what does, just something basic, right? What is jQuery? And you can, you say, "Look, I understand that jQuery is a library, but why do people use it?" That's an understanding question. But if it's something like a definition, you need to put yourself in an area where don't ask shit you can Google. It's annoying. And it just shows that you're not taking it seriously also. Because if you really wanted to know, we live in this magical time where everything is at our fingertips nowadays. So I could tell you, I've gone to meetups, and the guy had never touched jQuery. He's a Ruby on Rails guy, but he's trying to learn it. I sat down for an hour and a half, the whole meetup. Forget what we were doing there. I was just showing him what I was working on. This was back when I was doing the free code camp, like Wikipedia API or the weather API. I taught him everything in my project. I built it out from scratch. I was like, yeah, man, I'll show you what's going on here. And I was more experienced than he was with it. But I wasn't, an experienced dev. But compared to him, I was on a whole nother level. And I'm sure he found it very beneficial. I've gone to the meetup in back in the Iron Yard, RIP, in St. Pete, where the guy didn't understand for loops and didn't understand the math object. And I sat down, I spent 30 minutes trying to explain to him some basic stuff, or what I considered basic stuff. It's not, people want to help. At least I like to think so. But if you're going to ask questions that you should know the answer to, or that are like, hey, what is the definition of this? Those questions you can find out. You don't need, those aren't the questions a person at a mentor is not your Google search. Google is your Google search. When you need conceptual things, that's what they're there to help you with. So I put some peppermint in this, and I think I got it in my eyes or something. It's getting pretty hot. Junior devs sometimes get full of themselves when they learn the basics. That's another thing, guys. Always try to be humble, man. Like so far, you might think I haven't been very humble. But all I've told you is that I work hard, and that I am looking to get better. So it is one of those things where when you stop being humble, when you stop growing, there's a difference between negotiating from a strong position and not being humble. It is a true statement that I don't need a job. I have a job. It is a true statement that I'm not going to leave for a job that pays the same. But then to negotiate, say, hey, look, I need 20 grand more, right? And negotiate from that, because that's what makes it worth your value. That doesn't mean you're not humble. But especially, it is very easy, and something I've sort of prided myself on trying to do my best. And with it is very easy when you have a group of supporters, even on a channel as small as mine, even on a channel where I got 42,000. That's not really a lot on YouTube. It's a very small, minute amount. But that it would be very easy for me and for most YouTubers. I see it happen all the time. I've gone to some of these YouTube events when I was in Los Angeles, and it is amazing how full people are of themselves. Because if you really want to, on social media, you can surround yourself with yes men, people who are telling you the shit, dude. You are the coding god, Dylan. Oh my God, coding Jesus. That's what we're gonna be calling you. All right, you can surround yourself with these people. You can get full of yourself, and what happens is people don't want to be around you, for one. So you're gonna lose out on opportunities. Two, you're not really going to be happy. And three, it's just not a good way to live your life. You need to be humble. There is always someone better than you there at whatever it is that you're good at. And there's always people provide value no matter how inexperienced they are or how experienced they are. There are plenty of senior devs who I've taught a thing or two to, and there are plenty of senior devs who have taught a thing to me. And there are plenty of people who've never had a dev job who have sat down and said, hey, man, why aren't you looking at it like this? And you say, oh, my goodness, you just blew my mind with how you were able to capture this problem in a different light. So keep that in mind, because when you don't become humble, when you're no longer humble, you're putting yourself in a position to fail. And more than that, I would almost consider it an immoral. It's a morality thing to a degree, where I think it's okay to be confident. I have no issue with confidence, but there's a clear defined line of being humble and being arrogant and then being confident. And you need to make sure you're on the confident side, or it's going to cost you. You doing code fights? Very nice. Yeah, code fights is fun. I like code fights. You got a bad headache? Sorry to hear that, Casey. Sorry to hear that, man. Dylan, hey Dylan, do you think I can keep up with Python and JavaScript at the same time? Well, I recommend people only learn one programming language till they have a year or two experience under their belt in the workplace. Could you play around with both? Yeah, sure. Algorithms made me a better developer. People say you don't need to learn CS concepts. Well, it depends on what you're trying to accomplish, right? Do I want to leave Florida? I'm not opposed to it. I like Florida. Florida's cheap, man. Florida's going to allow me to buy a house and save money for retirement and do things like that. I happen to like Florida. There are some areas that I wouldn't be opposed to. If I was going to relocate, it would be in Portland, Oregon, because I have family there, or Seattle, Washington, because it's a tech hub and I like Washington. So, yes, Ricky, that's completely correct. Consistency is what will take you to the next level, and I've talked about that on Free Code Camp's channel. Actually, I did a video for them, saying what was the secret to success, the secret to learning to code, and I talk about consistency and all the ways to stay consistent. How well do you need to know a language before you're good enough to apply? It really depends on the organization, but you should at least need to apply. You should at least know the fundamentals of the language, how to use them at the very least. So many people on Discord waste time gaming. That's the thing, man. A lot of times people just aren't there yet. People aren't there where they're ready to get their life together. And some people never get there, right? Some people never save for retirement. They work till the day they die. Some people, even if they're making good money, right, they live beyond their means. Some people, they can never put the crack pipe down. They can never put the joint down. They can never, go and work after work and continue to grow. Some people are like that, and it's hard, man. I understand, because I wasn't always one of those people, man. I was one of those people that would come home from school miserable and just game. I would just game and not focus on it, try to forget and escape for hours. So much time wasted. Not in gaming, but in college. But a little bit of both. So much time wasted. But part of that is, at that time in my life, I wasn't ready to take it seriously and keep moving. So. Oh, nice, Ricky. Good luck, man. Thank you to James Shackelford, who donated $5. I appreciate that. For those of you who don't know, all your donations are going towards helping me buy a house and, get try and move on to that next stage of my life, as well as with YouTube. So make sure you're watching without ad block, please, motherfuckers. What are your thoughts on learning programming for IT, not web dev? Basically, application support roles or other IT problem solving tasks. So this would be my suggestion to you. So the hardware space and the networking space, it doesn't pay as well, and it's a little bit of harder of a role to get into because there's less jobs, for one. That's not to say there's no jobs, there's just less jobs, but if that's where your passion is. But I would try and, James, my suggestion to you would be to lean into DevOps if you're more inclined to do something a little bit different than web dev. So if you're interested in that, that would be my recommendation. Yeah, there's nothing wrong. Look, I'm not telling you not to have hobbies. What I'm explaining to you is moderation is key. If you want to game for an hour or two a day, you want to watch Netflix for, I watch about an hour of YouTube every day. I'm fine with that. I got no problem with that. My thing is, make sure you work towards something else outside of work. Don't just go and deliver pizzas at Domino's, which I did. By the way, I'm guilty of this. And then go home, play League of Legends all night. Go work your job, take care of your bills, come home, play one game of League of Legends, then spend 2 hours learning to code. Spend 2 hours trying to do DevOps. Whatever it is that the next stage of your life is, have a plan, work towards accomplishing that plan. The new Call of Duty, yeah. Work-life balance is very important. That's one of the questions I ask as well. There are plenty of companies that will tell you. It's very apparent, the companies that will work you to the bone. You can ask the question. So I asked the question, and that way you don't have to feel guilty about it when you take the job. Hey, you've mentioned deadlines a couple times, and I enjoy my side projects. I have a YouTube channel, I'm building courses. I'm just curious what the work-life balance is like. They'll answer it. Most companies will answer it straight up. Do you ever compare yourself to others? Absolutely. It's an awful thing to do. I compare myself to developers who have 20 years experience. My tech lead, he's a pain in the butt sometimes, but he's brilliant. He is wise beyond my years in terms of development. There's been some times where I've been tired during the week and I haven't performed as best as I can, and he's so good at it that sometimes it's easy to say, will I ever get to that level? Will I ever achieve that? And it's a bad mindset to have. It's not really fair to yourself either. And this is true in every aspect of your life, where you will always want to be, especially if you are someone who is driven. And it's very easy to get overwhelmed by yourself. You will always want to be farther along than you are. And when you get to that destination, there'll be another one out in the view you're trying to get to. When I got from my first dev job, that wasn't good enough. I need to now become a senior dev. How do I get there? And I'm grinding to get there, right? So try not to do that. It's not healthy. Just stay motivated and continue moving forward, and just continue growing, right? It's a dangerous path to go to, comparing yourself. Now, it's okay to say, hey, I admire these traits of this person. I want to be like that person. But comparing yourself, oftentimes in unequal shoes, is a really bad mindset to get into. Do I have my own desk and space at work? Yes. I'm not sure what you mean by space, but I'm in a room with other developers. Do you have a Discord channel? I have one, but I don't really use it. I'd recommend, and some people in chat, feel free to mention it, but Traversity Media has a pop in Discord channel, from what I hear. Poppin'. Oh my goodness. Did I just say poppin'? I feel like my mother would have said poppin'. The kids be popping out every night. But he has a very active poppin'. He has a very active Discord channel. Yeah, I feel like I just dated myself. It's popping off, y'all. He has a very active Discord channel. So if anyone in here, I'm sure you could check his channel. One of his videos probably in description. But I would encourage you to go ahead and join that Discord channel. Popping. But I would encourage you more so to go to meetups to share your experiences and talk with other developers. I think that on top of all that sort of stuff, I think all that stuff is great. So if you're looking to meet other developers, it's you can also go on Code Tech Caffeine. That's my Facebook group. There should be a link in the description. We have a very active Facebook group. Dylan, quick question, man. I often find myself helping and teaching others to code, sometimes for hours. Should I start charging people? What do you think? I mean, will people pay you? That's for one. Do you get anything out of teaching? I consider part of what I do on my YouTube channel teaching. I get a ton out of it. Not talking about the ad revenue. I'm talking about it helps me to force myself to learn. I've been doing tutorials for 7 weeks, just 1 hour tutorial, 30-minute tutorials on topics, and that's been very helpful for me. So you really have to decide, is that worth it to you? Or are you getting something out of it? Well, are you being able to have ideas stick? What is it that you're getting out of it? If you're saying, you know what, man, I'm not really getting anything out of it and I need a couple extra bucks, yeah, sure. Charge some money, man. Do you think I can start with freelance? You can start. It's going to be hard, though. I recommend people don't. That doesn't mean that it's not going to be impossible. Here's the thing. All these things are optional. Like, all these things are possible. Some are just harder than others, right? Is web development more interesting than business enterprise development? Tell me what the difference is. Because business enterprise development is just web development on a larger scale. Most of the time. You go work for Chase, they're building web applications. But it's for a bank. You go work for Walmart in their web app, you're building web applications, except it's a commerce store. So they're the same thing, just on a much larger scale. I tried to quit coffee cold turkey yesterday. I had an nasty headache. I can attest to that. Yeah. I quit 3, maybe 4 weeks ago. I think 3 weeks ago. I originally substituted with green tea, but it's upsetting my stomach, so I stopped that this week. Anyone seen Deadpool? No spoilers, but I'm going tomorrow. I'm very excited. I wonder if the first one's on Netflix. I feel like it might be. Just get you hyped. No Deadpool. Do you still feel like you don't know enough? I always do. I definitely know enough to do my job. Does that mean that I can't continue to move forward? Of course not. I feel like I'm always trying to get to that next level because I've good ambitions. I want to buy property, not only live in. I want rental properties. I want to retire at 50. All these things are possible with hard work. Yo, I need to talk to Dolan. As they say, Dolan's like a bad baby daddy. He only comes around once a month. You know what I'm saying? He ain't in right now. Yeah, I know enough to do my job, but I know I need to continue learning. How about that? How would you build an e-commerce site? With whatever framework would make sense at the time. I personally probably would use Angular because I'm familiar with it, and I think with TypeScript built into it, it handles it very nicely. Um, um, how do you handle with people who piss you off at work? I Yeah, I definitely don't pop off. How are you liking your university classes? I dropped those about 2.5 months ago. They were a complete waste of my time. Um, they kept busting your balls. So if you really are having issues and someone's messing with you, you need to just talk to them. One whoever is the main antagonist. Most of the time they're just giving you a hard time, but chances are they don't realize that it's affecting you. So I would say have a one-on-one conversation and just say, hey man, this you need to this is actually upsetting me. I know you don't mean it like that. Um, and I just want to let you know I'm good with it. We can move on, but please let's not do it again. Just handle it like an adult, right? Um, that's the truth of the matter. That's how you should handle it. And if they don't respect you on that, that's what HR departments are for. Right? Do I need reading books on the regular? I just got done reading the Complete Software Developer's Career Guide. I'm also just ordered a new book called it's a money investing book, and then I'm currently reading Cracking the Coding Interview. But let me tell you, I might be putting that one on hold. I'm 100 pages in. I don't think I can do anymore, man. It is dreadfully dry. I want to read it. Uh, it's just hard, man. It is not a fun read at all. I haven't been enjoying it. I have been doing over the last 2 weeks. I've put about 5 hours into. For those of you who are Final Fantasy fans, I have the Super Nintendo Classic. And I've been playing Final Fantasy VI. I get the feels every time I turn that game on, man. It has been fun reliving a little bit of the childhood on that. I wish Chrono Trigger came on the Super Nintendo Classic. That would have been so great. But Final Fantasy VI has been it's one of my favorites from the Final Fantasy series. Has been just so much fun. Yeah. All right, guys. Any last few questions? I'll take questions for about 5 more minutes. Then I'm gonna call it a day. Thank you again to James who donated $5. James, you bought a brick on my house. I appreciate that. Do I write a lot of test cases, Karma and Jasmine? Yes. This is so important. It is always important to write unit tests for your applications. You must write unit tests for your applications, for your models, for your services, for your for your components. What do you think of Jade? I haven't used Jade. Did I play StarCraft 2? If so, what race? I usually play Protein. Bitcode says if I don't donate $5, it's only fair someone else can match me. Deal? Hey, I'm okay with it. Thank you so much, Bitcode. I appreciate that. We got 2 bricks. Is someone gonna drop a third? Someone gonna drop a third. Going once, going twice. We'll hold out for a little longer for more bricks. I appreciate that, man. Last advice to stay motivated, keep coding constantly, keep it fun. That's the thing. When it starts being unfun, find a different way to keep learning and growing. Do you write tests before or after your code? I do test-driven development most of the time. I should do it more often, but it's about 50-50. It depends. It depends on the application. So sometimes it's very hard to test in Angular, and if it's a pain in the ass to test in Angular, I put it in the back. Services, for instance, are a great example of where it takes so much setup. I usually it's about 50-50. My workplace would prefer I do it 100% of the time, but don't tell them. No, I write tests for everything, but I don't. So we do TDD, and TDD means test-driven development means you should be doing it beforehand. Any tips for testing? Just get comfortable with it. Start testing with Jasmine and Karma, and continue moving forward. How do you brainstorm ideas for projects to code? I start thinking about it. I think about what I'm passionate about. I also look at what APIs are available and see how I can move forward. Need help with microservices in general understanding for noobs. So microservices as a whole is an ideology where instead of you actually rendering HTML in an HTML page, we're going to dynamically, this is just one example of a microservice. We're going to dynamically inject a menu, for instance, and that could come from a microservice. That microservice is just a small service whose only point is to deliver a menu. And there could be regular API whose only services is essentially just a service that is on a very small scale. How much CSS should you know before learning Flexbox, etc.? Well, there's also things like CSS Grid that help as well. So every time someone updates code, tests seem to break. It's not the test that's breaking. The code broke something else. The tests are there to save you. So when the tests break, that's an awesome thing because now you know where you have to go and fix it, right? Yeah, that helped you a lot. Seriously, thanks. You're welcome, Bitcode. I appreciate the support and the second brick of the day. So thank you so much. All right, guys. You donate $5 to about a brick. Did you donate with the super chat? Yeah, donate with super chat for it to show up on these live streams. So I appreciate that, Tyler, very much. Thank you so much. Yeah, in these live stream events, the only thing that are going to show up are super chats. The dollar sign there. I probably should have. I was on stream. I'm sorry. I should probably remove that from there. I appreciate it though, man. Thank you for the third brick. Yeah, I mean, sometimes you got to update the test if you're refactoring. That's for sure. I'll leave you with this, guys. Continue to grow, continue to learn, and always be humble. If you're humble, you'll continue to grow, and you'll continue to be successful because you'll understand that you don't know everything, and that you're just on a journey and you haven't reached your final destination. I hope you take that to heart about continuing to grow and staying humble. So thank you so much, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.